Hello, and welcome to Dietr Knows, our new segment where I, Dietr, share random useless pop culture trivia that will never come up once in your real life. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all those things that please the mighty algorithm. Done? Good. Now, our first fact. Did you know that contrary to what Dr. Christine Palmer in Multiverse of Madness might think, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is not Earth 616?
I don't believe that the MCU is 616. As much as Kevin Feige can make us think that it's 616, it is 199999.
She's 100% correct. But how did this little miscommunication between Miss Marvel and head of Marvel Studios Kevin Feige begin? Well, let's find out. Basically, the disagreement here is about how to appropriately designate the Marvel Cinematic Universe within the greater Marvel Multiverse. I'll explain the Marvel Multiverse in a second, but for now, just know that multiverse refers to the idea of possible other universes that are divergent from our own, sometimes slightly and sometimes radically. The concept of the multiverse is old, like 5th century BCE old. In those times, Greek atomist thinkers suggested that the random accidental nature of our universe implied the existence of other worlds that were less perfect than our own. Meanwhile, Buddhist thinkers in 100 AD had concluded that the universe was part of an infinite cycle of destruction and rebirth, which again implies the existence of multiple universes. The metaphysics surrounding the existence of possible worlds extends from there throughout religions like Christianity and Islam and into science today with the works of Stephen Hawking. It is a fascinating subject, well worthy of a video from a creator far smarter than myself. Also, since I promised to keep this video under 10 minutes, we had better fast forward to Marvel Comics in the 1970s. As a point of clarification, Marvel has had other dimensions for about as long as it's been producing comics. Other planes such as the Negative Zone, the Microverse, and even Heaven, capital H Heaven, have been the final frontier for people like the Fantastic Four since the 1960s. But those alien worlds don't come up when we're discussing the Big M Marvel Multiverse. Rather, that term is used to describe a cluster of possible worlds where things are just a little bit different from the comic's status quo, where the butterfly flapped its wings and the paradigm that we recognize has changed. The idea of the Marvel Multiverse had its seeds planted in 1971 in the pages of Avengers number 85, which introduced the Squadron Supreme, a group of heroes including the noble Hyperion, the fierce Power Princess, and the mysterious Nighthawk. These were characters from another universe that looked similar to, but legally distinct from, a certain other league that called the distinguished competition home. The Avengers would go on to encounter this team from time to time, but the multiverse as we know it would truly begin to form in the pages of a comic that asked a single, two-word question. What If was an anthology comic introduced in 1977 that presented single-issue scenarios like, what if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four? What if Phoenix hadn't died? And my own personal favorite, what if Wolverine was Lord of the Vampires? These stories afforded Marvel an opportunity to try out new, untested creators pretty much risk-free, while also allowing current writers and artists the opportunity to flex their creative muscles without being constrained by the Marvel status quo. At the time, no one involved really realized that they were constructing a vast web of universes that would have cosmic implications for Marvel stories for decades to come. It was visionary writer Alan Moore who, alongside co-creators Alan Davis and David Thorpe, introduced the term multiverse to their hero Captain Britain in the 1980s during the Crooked World story arc that featured in pages of Marvel's Marvel UK imprint. Britain's premier hero, Brian Braddock, twin brother of the X-Men Psylocke, discovered that he was a member of a multiversal core of other Captains Britain who were dedicated to maintaining the stability of not just their own worlds, but all worlds. It was in the pages of this story that readers first saw the term 616 used. This is not to say it was an instant hit, of course. Marvel editors such as Tom Brevoort and Joe Quesada have expressed disdain for the term to this day, citing a similarity to DC's own organizational system of Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth X, and so on. But if there's one thing I know about nerds, it's that they love to organize things, and the Earth 616 designation led to a nearly infinite number of multiversal designations. Many of those were eventually confirmed in pages of official documents, like the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. It didn't take long for all these different universes that What If had introduced to be categorized, and as more alternate universe comics, TV adaptations, and films were created, they continued to be added into the Marvel Multiverse with various different numerical designations. Some of the more famous Earths in the multiverse include Earth 1610, commonly known as the Ultimate Universe, Earth 295, a world where Apocalypse, one of the X-Men's greatest villains, has taken over and established a dystopia based on survival of the fittest. Earths 10005 and TRN414, the two main timelines featured in the X-Men films. Earth 928, a universe set in the far future of 2099 where the entire world has been divided up by ruthless corporations. Earth 9997, otherwise known as Earth X, and Earth 9602, a world comprised of amalgamations of Marvel and DC's own characters. Although it's important to note that DC's own multiverse exists in Marvel as part of a larger omniverse that includes every fictional universe ever created, as well as our own. The omniverse is a separate subject that likely warrants a video of its own. But then finally, we have Earth 1999999. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, which was first given its official designation in the pages of the 2008 official handbook of the Marvel Universe. That's roughly 14 years before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness established that the Marvel Cinematic Universe was Earth 616. So I think the thing that we can take away from all of this is that Iman Vellani is an absolute nerd and a great addition to Earth 199999. I hope you've enjoyed this quick tour of the history of the Marvel Multiverse. If you want to know more about it, please consider picking up some comics like What If, Marvel 1602, Earth X, Age of Apocalypse, Judd Winnick's Exiles, 2014's Spider-Verse event by Dan Slott, or 2016's Secret Wars event by Jonathan Hickman from your local comic shop or your local library. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. This has been Dietr Knows, and now you know too.